Good to have you with us. I'm Daniel Che here with the latest updates for this hour. After countless disappointments, delays and cancellations, it appears the much-anticipated reunions of families separated by the Korean War will take place. We have the latest. After last month's shocking massive personal data leaks, rules for financial companies concerning the collection of personal information will become much more strict beginning in April. Some celebrate a golden victory, others swallow the bitter pill of defeat and vow to become even stronger in the next Olympic Games. We have the recaps, updates, and what to watch for in Sochi. Now, more than 80 elderly South Koreans have the chance to see their loved ones for the first time in over 60 years, as the two Koreas are about to hold some very long overdue family reunions. Our Hwang Sung-hee takes us through the first round of the 6-day event.
War-separated family members from the two Koreas will meet with their loved ones Thursday for the first time in over 6 decades. The reunion event for families separated since the Korean War, the first in more than 3 years, will take place from February 20th through the 25th at North Korea's Mount Kumgang. 83 South Korean divided family members will gather in Sokcho, Gangwon-do province on Wednesday and spend a night there before crossing the inter-Korean border on Thursday morning. The elderly participants, most in their 80s and some in their 90s, will undergo a simple health checkup the night before their departure and receive instructions about how to conduct themselves in the communist states. On Thursday, they will travel by bus to the Mount Kumgang Resort, the site of the reunions. Here, the South Korean family members will be joined by 180 North Korean participants for the first round of reunions that runs for 3 days. The event will be composed of 6 total meetings, with the first 5 lasting for 2 hours each. The final meeting on Saturday will last just 1 hour. If the reunion event goes as planned, the separated family members have only 11 hours to make up for lost time. Millions of Koreans were separated from their families during the Korean War, and around 70,000 registered divided family members in the South are waiting to reunite with their long-lost relatives. With no telephone or letter exchanges allowed between citizens of the two Koreas, the occasional government-arranged reunions are the only chance they have. The humanitarian event is also an important barometer of inter-Korean relations. Just last September, the North called off a round of reunions amid heightening tensions on the Korean peninsula, disappointing hundreds of divided families on both sides of the border. Hwang Sung-hee, ARIRANG News.
The White House has reiterated its condemnation of the human rights violation in North Korea in light of a new report by a UN panel. In a press briefing Tuesday, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney said the U.S. is extremely vocal and critical about the appalling conduct of the regime. The latest UN panel report on the human rights situation in the North defined rights abuses there as crimes against humanity. In contrast to the U.S. reaction, Beijing, Pyongyang's ally, said the UN's criticisms were unreasonable. The Chinese Foreign Ministry also denied claims Beijing may be abetting Pyongyang by forcibly repatriating North Koreans trying to flee their country, saying they're considered illegal migrants. Concerns are rising again here in Korea about Japan's claims to Korea's Dokdo Island after it was found a U.S. congressional think tank uses both the Korean and Japanese names for the rocky island. Our Son Jung-in reports.
The discovery that a U.S. governmental body has been using 2 names on official maps has reignited concern in Korea over the Dokdo Island, which Korea controls. Japan also claims the island as its territory and has said in the past it will take the matter to the International Court of Justice. This is a map of the Korean peninsula that was published last Saturday in a report released by the U.S. Congressional Research Service titled North Korea, U.S. Relations, Nuclear Diplomacy, and Internal Situation. The second page of the report shows the Korea-controlled Dokdo Island, which are referred to by 2 names, Dokdo, the name Korea uses, and Takeshima, the name Japan uses. The Research Bureau also used both names on reports released in April and September last year. And in a report it published last August, it referred to Dokdo as the Liancourt Rocks, with the name Takeshima in front of the name Dokdo. National Geographic also uses both names for the island on a map on its website. In related news, the Director General of the Korean Foreign Ministry's Northeast Asian Affairs Bureau, Lee Sang-deok, told his visiting Japanese counterpart Junichi Hara on Tuesday that Tokyo's misunderstanding of history and provocative remarks are hampering bilateral ties. Lee also urged Tokyo to cancel its upcoming Takeshima Day this weekend, designed to promote Japan's claim to Dokdo. 손정인, ARIRANG News.
Korea is stepping up efforts toward joining the U.S.-led Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations by holding a series of preliminary talks with related parties. An official from Seoul's Trade Ministry said Wednesday that Korea and Japan will hold bilateral talks early next month in Japan to check conditions for joining the trade pact. The TPP is an effort by the U.S. to increase its economic presence in the Asia-Pacific region. Negotiations for the trade deal involve 12 countries at the present time. Since expressing its interest in joining the TPP late last year, Korea has already held preliminary bilateral talks with the 11 other nations, including Australia, Canada, and the U.S. The Korean government is rushing to re-engage economically with Iran by giving local firms the green light to engage in business-to-business transactions of humanitarian goods with the Middle Eastern country. Korea's finance ministry says the move will increase the bilateral trade volume by up to $1 billion over the next 12 months. This comes as economic sanctions imposed on Tehran by the international community were partially lifted for 6 months in mid-January after the Iranian government agreed to an interim deal to curb its nuclear activities. Rules for financial companies concerning the collection of personal information will become stricter beginning in April in the wake of last month's massive data leak here in Korea. Financial authorities said on Wednesday the Financial Supervisory Service and the Financial Services Commission will announce comprehensive measures on February 28th. The reforms will focus on what financial firms can and cannot ask new clients when they fill out application forms. The companies will be limited from asking for resident registration numbers online and offline and will have to enlarge the font size on the sheets to make them clearer to customers. New clients will also have to sign or grant approval to the financial firm when divulging their personal information. South Korean stocks traded lower late Wednesday morning as investors shed shares following disappointing economic indicators coming from the U.S. The benchmark Kospi went down 0.46%, while the tech-heavy Kosdaq climbed 3.16 points. The Korean won exchange hands at 1,068 won to the greenback. The Islamist militant group responsible for Sunday's bus bombing in northeastern Egypt that killed 4 people, including 3 Koreans, has warned all tourists to leave the Sinai Peninsula by Thursday or risk being subject to further attacks. Our Kim Hyun-bin has more.
The Egyptian government says it is doing all it can to protect tourists in the wake of a threat by an al-Qaeda-linked Islamist militant group for all tourists to leave the country by Thursday or be subject to further attacks. The government said it is not sure of the authenticity of the threat posted on a Twitter account affiliated with the group, but said it has taken extra precautions. Egyptian Prime Minister Hassan al-Blablawi said on state television that the group Ansar Beit al-Maqdis is becoming a threat to foreign tourists in the country. The Islamist group claims to be responsible for the suicide attack on Sunday that killed 4 people, including 3 Koreans and an Egyptian. The Korean government has issued a travel warning for the Sinai Peninsula and is working to find out whether there are still any Korean tourists in the region. The Korean Foreign Ministry says it is doing all it can to uncover the motive for the attack.
We are working with the Egyptian government and the international community to learn the reasons behind the attack.
Korean government officials dispatched to the scene after the attack are currently working to help the Koreans who survived the attack and ensure they get home safely. 15 of them are scheduled to return home on Wednesday, while the other half are in Egypt undergoing treatment. The bodies of the 3 victims will be conveyed back to Korea by their families at a later date. Kim Hyun-bin, ARIRANG News.
Violence has returned to Ukraine Tuesday, where at least 21 people have been killed in the worst outbreak of violence since demonstrations erupted against President Viktor Yanukovych. Ukrainian police charged protesters at the capital's Independence Square using rubber bullets, smoke and stun grenades on protesters and clashed with civilians on the barricades surrounding the central Kiev square. Tuesday's clashes began after the demonstrators attempted to march on parliament demanding constitutional reform. Yanukovych has met the opposition leader Vitaly Klitschko and is expected to address the nation after his meeting with opposition leaders, but an exact time has not been announced. Moving over to other parts of our world, Chinese President Xi Jinping said he respects Taiwan's social system and lifestyle in a meeting with a former vice president of Taiwan on Tuesday. The meeting between the Chinese president and Taiwan's former vice president Lian Chen, who is now the honorary chairman of Taiwan's Kuomintang Party, follows another round of government-level talks between the two countries last week when they agreed to create a permanent communication body. During the meeting on Tuesday, President Xi also said the two sides should foster a common understanding of the One China principle, which says there can only be one state called China. The former vice president echoed Xi's remarks, saying cross-strait communications should be conducted under the One China principle. And some good news, ARIRANG TV, Korea's only global broadcasting network, the station you're watching right now, will be available across the U.S. via leading broadcast service provider DirecTV starting Thursday. The move gives ARIRANG a potential audience of 11 million, while viewers will gain a window on Korean culture. Our Jin has the details.
ARIRANG TV, which currently reaches more than 112 million households across the globe, will soon be available to a new audience of viewers in the United States. Starting Thursday, the Korean broadcaster will become the first and only Asian channel added to the public interest programming lineup of U.S.-based broadcast satellite service provider DirecTV. ARIRANG TV will be available on DirecTV channel 2095 across the U.S. to more than half of the channel's 20 million subscribers. While other Asian channels are included in DirecTV's international packages, which requires an extra subscription fee, ARIRANG TV is part of the English packages that reaches the mainstream U.S. audience. ARIRANG TV will be providing programs that target the growing Asian American market to further promote Korea and Korean culture in the U.S., ranging from up-to-date news and documentaries to round-the-clock entertainment. To commemorate the launch of the service on Thursday, President Park Geun-hye will be delivering an on-air congratulatory message in which she is expected to express her hope that ARIRANG TV becomes a bridge between Korea and the U.S., strengthening their friendship and trust. DirecTV is one of the world's leading providers of digital television entertainment services and has a customer base of 20 million in the U.S. and more than 17 million in Latin America through its 295 channels. Jin, ARIRANG News.
And now it's time for our daily coverage of the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics with ETA Ho. Good afternoon, Teo.
Good afternoon, Daniel.
Well, thanks for coming. Day 11 is in the books. What action-packed day it was.
It was an amazing night of a lot of different events, actually. And I think what better way to start it off than the latest gold medal by the women's 3,000-meter short track relay team coming in, of course, beating out rivals China for the gold medal. Now, this was a race that was actually very amazing. The three members of the Dream Team, as they're being called, qualified earlier, but still managed to win out the gold. The Dream Team, consisting of Joari, Kim-arang, Park Seung-hee, and Shin Seok-ki, went into the 3,000-meter event as the heavy favorites and in first position, and they definitely lived up to their expectations.
You know, I actually staked my reputation on the line saying that they will win gold before the event took place, so I was really clenching my fist and sweating as I watched the race. It was a very thrilling race, come from behind afterburner effort by Kim Seok-hee.
Yeah, everybody was on the edge of their seat. I watched the race a couple times, and every time I watched it, I was still sweating bullets, and it was just amazing because she's the youngest member on the relay team, of course. What happened was China was in the lead with 2 laps left to go. Kim Seok-hee came from the outside to overtake the leader, of course, and it was a lead that she would not relinquish.
Right, and we were kind of concerned when they kept showing those playbacks and replays. We feared that, are there any disqualification factor for South Korea? But it was actually China that cheated, and we actually beat them anyway. And I guess we could call this team the redeemed team, considering what happened back in 2010 Vancouver.
Definitely. Now, of course, for those of you who remember, in 2010, during the Vancouver Olympics, it was kind of a role reversal this time, where the Korean team was disqualified for a questionable impeding penalty against Team China when they had already crossed the line in first place and with a world record. But this time in 2014, in Sochi, of course, the ladies team came in first, and China, who came in second for the silver medal, was penalized and disqualified for impeding the Korean team, who won anyway. So,
right, so it was sort of almost a role reversal. But do you think, I don't think China was cheating on intentionally. They didn't plan it that way, right?
I don't think it didn't look planned. I mean, it's such a hectic race. The short track is always nerve-wracking with people crashing into each other, always in each other's way. And so it's always hard to make these judgment calls. But it was the correct call by the judges, and everybody decided to respect that call. And everything is in order, as it should be.
Well, congratulations to Team Korea and, of course, every other team that actually bagged the medal that night in short track. That makes the 5th gold medal in Korea. Team Korea is in this event. And 8 years since the last gold in the 3,000, wow, it's been a long time. There's been a number of preliminary heats for short track yesterday, right?
That's right. Now, there were also the men's and ladies' preliminaries for the short track events. The men's 500-meter event where Park Se-young and Lee Han-bin both qualified, and of course the ladies, as I mentioned earlier, 3 of the 4 members from the relay team, Park Seung-hee, Kim Seok-hee, and Kim Ha-rang, all managed to qualify for the women's 1,000-meter short track event, which will be wrapping up, of course, this weekend on Saturday.
Well, for the men's, unfortunately, not a lot of harvesting going on there, right?
No, the men's team has been kind of coming up short to expectations. Everybody was expecting the Korean men's side to do very well as the women's side, but we are coming up a little bit short, but there are still more chances. And the latest, of course, being the 10,000-meter event, which is a very intimidating event with the Dutch dominating this event for so many years. And last night was the same of the past as well, where Lee Seung-won of Korea, the only Asian competitor in this event, competed and placed 4th, unfortunately, just right outside the podium. So it was kind of disappointing indeed.
Well, you know what? I think placing 4th is no reason for us to hold our head low. This is the first Asian to compete, and he actually came in really close to holding a medal. And Sven Kramer, I guess he's been really waiting for this redemption time. He actually fumbled the last time he had a chance to win a medal.
Of course, in 2010 in the Vancouver Games, he was penalized and disqualified for an illegal lane change. And this time around, he kind of redeemed himself. He didn't quite take the gold. His Dutch teammate did that. But the Dutch are definitely continuing to dominate this Sochi 2014 Olympic Games on the ice. They took the podium, gold, silver, and bronze once again in this event.
Something about the orange outfit that seems to bring out the best in the Dutch. Well, anyway, let's switch gears to figure skating. Of course, we're going to be focusing on Queen Yana, the defending Olympic champ.
Of course. Now, and I think the International Olympic Committee definitely agrees, as well as the IOC's main banner on their homepage also is proclaiming that it's Yana time. Now, for all of us fans here in Korea and of course around the world, because she has such a worldwide following, Kim Yana will be skating tonight. She's going to be skating in Group 3, 5th in that group, of course, at approximately about 2:24 a.m. here in Korea. Now, she is the heavy favorite coming into this event, but she does have her longtime Japanese rival, as well as the Russian sweetheart, Lipnitskaya. So, well, it's definitely going to be an event to watch.
You know, it's always harder when you're the one being chased. It's always more pressurizing. But anyway, this is a very beautiful, aesthetically pleasing event, and we cannot not discuss the costumes, right?
That's right. Now, some people watch for the athletics, some people watch for the choreography, and some watch for the dazzling outfits that these athletes are in. Now, this time around, we'll have to come back and visit this, of course, after the ladies' short and long program. But so far, right now, I think the top 3 outfits have been definitely the Russian ice dance pair who skated to Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake, and they were in amazing black swan costumes that matched perfectly with the historical background of Swan Lake as well as Russia's history for ballet. So that was wonderful. And the other one goes to another Russian skater that we just mentioned, Lipnitskaya, who was in a red dress that symbolized the girl in the little red coat from the movie Schindler's List, to which she, of course, performed her free program during the team events. And I think it was a toss-up for me, but the third place and the third most kind of standout figure skating costume right now was the Italian ice dance pair who seemed to be performing as Romeo and Juliet, so that was definitely lovely.
You know, what's really clearly changing is that it used to be something that embodies the national flag or the colors of the nationality, but nowadays it's more focused on the theatrics and more in tune with the theme or the topic that they're trying to cover with their piece.
And it's kind of refreshing to see because we don't see the same old colors of the flag in their costumes, but we see more of the culture of each nation in the costumes, making it more theatrical, as of course figure skating is almost like an athletic theatrical play on ice. So in those regards, it's amazing to see this.
Well, Teo, thank you for covering all the nooks and crannies of everything that's going on in Sochi.
All right.
Now, with just 5 days remaining until the curtain comes down on the Sochi Winter Games, more and more attention is being drawn to next Winter Games in the Korean resort town of Pyeongchang here in Korea. For fans wanting to learn more about the next host city, there is a special place at Olympic Park to get a preview. Our Olympics correspondent Jisun files this report from Sochi.
The spirit of the Olympics is alive and well in Sochi, but just a few minutes after entering Olympic Park, you can also get a sense of what the 2018 Winter Games will be like. The Pyeongchang House is just before the main competition venues at the Olympic Park. Athletes and sports fans can get a preview of what the Winter Olympics will look like at Korea's Alpine City less than 4 years from now. From learning about Pyeongchang's location on the Korean peninsula and experiencing Korean medicine to watching cultural performances every day, visitors can get a better idea of the host city and the nation of the Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games. The venue is especially popular among Russians who are curious about the city that will take the reins in 4 years.
I think that it will be good Olympic Games and maybe better than now. I hope that I will be in these Olympic Games in Pyeongchang.
And it's not too early to think about Pyeongchang. Athletes who have already wrapped up their games at Sochi are now setting their sights on Pyeongchang, and so are their families.
We're parents of an athlete at these games, and I'm very, very impressed. I mean, obviously, they're quite ready for the Olympics. There's no question about that.
After hitting the 100,000 visitor mark on Saturday, Pyeongchang House is rising as a must-see spot among Olympic fans.
Over 15,000 visitors drop by at the Pyeongchang House a day, meaning 1 out of 5 people in Olympic Park drop by. They get surprisingly interested after viewing the exhibition. And more than 500 Russians have already requested that they'd love to volunteer at the 2018 Pyeongchang Games.
Visitor number 201,800 to the Pyeongchang House, or 2018 with 2 zeros on the end, will win a free flight to and from the Games if the winner wants to volunteer at the 2018 Games. 송지선, 아리랑 뉴스, 소치.
And now let's turn to our Michelle Park at the Weather Center for the latest forecast. Michelle, how are things looking over there in Sochi today?
Hi, Daniel. The rain has stopped and the fog has eased up, so it seems like Sochi is going to have a sunny day with a few clouds and a high of 11 degrees Celsius. And now moving over to Korea, although we had a chilly morning, we can expect the weather to feel like spring today with highs of up to 9 degrees with lots of clouds nationwide. Now for more details, let's move over to our satellite map. The clouds are moving towards the south, and it looks like we also have heavy clouds that could bring more snow to the east coast in the next day or so. Now going over to our readings. Seoul will top out at 7 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, the southern cities such as Gwangju and Busan will get up to 9 and 6 degrees respectively. Now down onto Jeju Island, it's looking gray with high of 8. Dokdo will get up to 0, while Mankumgang tops out at -7. Well, that's all for now. I'm Michelle Park, and back to you, Daniel.
Thank you for that, Michelle. And that does it for me. For more updates, tune in at 4 p.m. Korea time to ARIRANG News. Thank you for watching.